Welcome everybody to Geeky Cool presents Geeky or Geek Files or Geek Cinephiles. Boy, I said it wrong completely. Geeky Cinephiles. Boy,
yeah.
Oh, it's a Monday and we are here with you. We're happy to be here with you. Joe and I were just talking about how it's a Monday and in the truest sense of Mondays. So, but we are here to talk about a movie from the mid 80s that if you weren't alive then, you may not know have existed. In fact, this is the first time Joe had got a chance to watch it. So I'm excited to hear what Joe thinks about this cult classic and very different movie from the 80s in Buckaroo Banzai. It's officially The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Cross the eighth dimension. I felt like I went to another dimension.
I told you the first watching is something else, isn't it? So it's
yeah.
So give me your quick thoughts after having watched it. Just quickly, what did you think when you ended the movie?
I think so was this a comic book?
No, it's not, but
no,
you would think it would be based off a comic or a book series or something like that. There's several movies that are kind of oddball movies like this one from the 80s that were based off either comics or books, but this was not one of them.
Interesting. Yeah, and I started thinking, because there's a lot going on, but I started thinking, okay, if this is a comic book, I get it, because sometimes you have to know the insides of comics to know some of that stuff that's going on. But it was a lot going on, and I definitely
a lot going on.
Whether it was because I was trying to figure out what was going on, or I couldn't believe it, it kept me interested the whole time. So
well, that's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
And the cast, I was amazed, man. John Lithgow, Ellen Barkin,
Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, we Doc right there, and Peter Weller as Buckaroo Banzai.
RoboCop.
It's quite an ensemble cast. Clancy Brown as Rawhide. He's a pretty well-known guy. But yeah, a pretty large cast doing just unusual things. So the main hero, Buckaroo Banzai, is a brain surgeon, a rock star, a rocket scientist, a comic book. The list just goes on and on and on. He's pretty much everything. It's kind of what I always wanted to be. I'm like, man, if you could be all those things, that'd be amazing. But
I mean, who wouldn't want to be? What little boy wouldn't want to be?
I know, right? Yeah.
So tell me, do you remember seeing it, or
I do.
You do? Where'd you see it?
So I rented it. I didn't go in the theaters. I wanted to see it in theaters. I thought it looked really interesting, and it came out in 1984. 1984, of course. I was I think it came out in August, so I had just turned 14, and I lived out in the middle of the country, so I didn't get to go to see a lot of movies. I'd have to ask my parents to take me. So this was not one of the ones that they took me to go see. But we had this kind of, and you'll remember this, Joe, the weird thing of the early 80s to mid 80s, if you didn't have a lot of money, you didn't own your own VCR until a couple of years later. So you would go to the video store and you would pick out a group of movies and you would rent a VCR with renting the movies. You get the different cassettes, and we would do like long weekends. So we would go get 3 or 4 video cassettes, and that's all we could do. We had to have them back by Monday, so you had to sit down and watch them. But this was actually one I had a group of friends over to watch, and I remember thinking, that is so weird. So cool, but so weird. And I just didn't know how to explain it other than like, I'm pretty sure I liked it. But...
I kind of get that.
All right. I figured you would.
What about your friends? What'd they think?
They all thought the same thing. They thought, boy, that's a a unique movie, and kind of excited at the end when it told us there was going to be another movie.
Yeah.
The end credit comes up, and then it's announcing the next movie. Of course, it's kind of funny. The movie, I believe, was made for about $17 million.
Oh, wow.
About half of that in the theaters. So it did not do well in theaters.
Yeah.
Box office and HBO came to save the day and showed the movie a lot. So the movie got shown a lot, and then people started following it. And with that cast of characters and everything else, people started gravitating to it. It became a classic that it is today. But yeah, it's an oddball movie from the 80s for sure.
Yeah. So how did you revisit it, or have you seen it throughout the years?
Sure.
Watch it.
No, I did. I have. Basically, a few years ago, I caught it here and there in different places. I probably watched it, I don't know, maybe 10 times.
Okay. Yeah.
It came up on my list on Vudu, where you could buy digital movies for $5. I'm like, well, heck, for $5, I want to revisit my youth a little bit.
Why not?
And so I have had it, and I've actually went back and watched it a few months ago, and then I watched it a couple weeks ago when I knew we were going to be doing this movie to go back and revisit it once again. The interesting thing is I noticed things even now that I had not noticed because, again, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's just like, what in the world is that? What is happening there?
Yeah.
And so, it's fascinating.
So if anybody else has seen this, you'll know what I'm talking about. But why does he comes out, he breaks the 8th dimension, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Then he comes back, and they go out and play their gig.
Yep.
And why does he stop the gig in the middle of it?
Oh, because
is there a sad woman out there?
There is a girl crying out there, and it is. And he just hears it. Nobody else hears it but him. Wow. So he hears it. So he stops his set, which is hysterical to me.
Yeah.
And then brings her on, and it's what was her name? It's Penny. Penny Pretty.
Yeah, but he called her Peggy.
Yeah, well, because Peggy was his ex-wife, or his wife who passed away. And they kind of make some references to that. You don't fully get that until you've watched it a couple times. Like, she passed away, and he tells her she reminds him of somebody. And if you look at the picture, there's a scene where she is in a bedroom, and he goes in to see her, and she's holding the picture that looks just like her. But it's his ex-wife who'd passed away.
Okay, yeah.
Again, I don't expect you to catch all the nuances because there's so much going on. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's why he stopped it. I thought it was interesting him going to the jail and everything else there.
And she was in jail in like lingerie.
Yeah.
In the jail cell.
Yeah, that's all she had. So
and then you brought her home, right? But you didn't hang out with her. Yeah.
Well, then too many other things going on, So, but yeah, it's there's a press conference and talks to the president, who's in traction the entire time, which is hysterical. Why is the president in traction? We don't know. President's in traction. It's just, and then there's the scene where they're in his home headquarters, whatever it is, and they get attacked to get. And interestingly, the thing that makes them go through the 8th dimension is a lot like the flux capacitor, but it's able to be pulled out.
I did notice that.
This movie is a year before Back to the Future, so that was interesting because I had to go back and look and see what year it was. Back to the Future was 85. This was 84. Wow. And so the aliens, the bad aliens, steal the device, and they're trying to stop them as the aliens are trying to make their way out of the house. And there's the scene where New Jersey, who is Jeff Goldblum's character, is trying to help, and he walks by, and there's this watermelon inside like this vice grip, and he's like, "What is that?" It's like, "Oh, we'll tell you later." Like, what? What is that?
Well, and then he's an attorney. He's an attorney, right?
I don't think he's an attorney.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he does everything else.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that from, but he shows up to Banzai's house and like a goofy chaps,
No,
cowboy chaps.
That's right. He's the doctor that's helping him assist with the brain surgery at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, so,
that's right. And Buckaroo just says, "Hey, if you're not busy, we got a gig. You want to join us?" Okay.
Because I'm a neurosurgeon, I'm a rock star, and I'm all things.
Right, and his parents were rocket scientists and were part of the people which created the device that helped him go through the 8th dimension. Yeah. Just so flashbacks, and you're not sure it's a flashback until later. You're like, okay, that must have been a flashback. with John Lithgow's character younger, going partially through this wall and getting the alien sucked into him, basically.
Yeah, they almost went into his brain or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the all of the aliens that are on Earth, first name are John.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. No.
Yeah, that they talk about that at one point. How is this possible? How is everybody with a birth certificate named John? Because what happened, and did you catch the whole reference to War of the Worlds?
Maybe. Remind me.
So they're like, well, because everything is centering around this town, but it's the town that's the focus of War of the Worlds from 1938, and they figure out that something happened then.
Oh yeah,
that
they were wondering if it was like a hoax, also.
Right, and then they're like, well, that may not have been a hoax. That may have been the aliens trying to mind control Orson Welles and blah blah blah. And like,
that's right.
Yeah, and then that next day they all went and filed for Social Security cards, and all of them were named John, including. Let me see if I can find some of the names here, because these names are great. And then the aliens look like us until they don't. Which is pretty normal. But you've got, at first I thought there were different groups of aliens. When I first watched it, I thought there were 2 different sects, but it's the same alien group. Just one group is kind of the rebels that have pulled away, and they were banished to the 8th dimension. And then they're trying to get back to the 8th dimension to get something that will get them back home. I still don't know all that after watching it. So you've got John Warfin.
They can look like humans at times.
They can look like humans unless you get zapped, and then you know that John Warfin, John Smallberries, John Yaya, John Mini Jars, and John Big Booty.
How'd they come up with those?
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
This movie tries really hard, and it gives, it doesn't leave anything on the table. It puts it all out there, and I just love it because of that. I do. It's one of those where people watch it and they're like, what is this? And I knew that you would have that same reaction, like, what are we watching? How does this make any sense at all? What is this? But again, usually it takes people a couple of tries. I was not a drug user, never used drugs, didn't really even experiment with that. Drank a lot in high school, but didn't experiment with drugs. But you can see that people that were probably high probably absolutely love this movie. Oh man, that's so deep. Yeah, and it sort of is. It's just an oddball movie. Let's talk a little bit about the ratings of it, because it was kind of a mixed bag on ratings. People either loved it or hated it. Same thing with the critics.
Yeah,
There were several critics that loved it, and then several critics that just thought it tried too hard.
Yeah.
IMDb has it at 6.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics give it 67. The audience gives it a 69. The Metacritic gives it a 70%. So it's kind of in that, upper D, C level ratings from the critics and the audience. And they kind of agree that it's kind of an oddball thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think there's one thing that, and this isn't an insult to the movie, there's one thing that people could say it is weird. It's weird.
It is weird. Yeah. I agree.
Some people like weird. And
apparently I do, since I'm the one who recommended this one. So
I do too. I love some weird stuff. Can I share with you some? Let's see if you know. Or go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, 10 things you didn't know about Buckaroo Banzai.
All right.
Okay. Yep. 1984. It was interesting too. That I thought about the flux capacitor just like you did. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, did you know what Buckaroo's original name was supposed to be?
I did read that.
Okay.
Buckaroo Brandy or something.
Bandy, yeah, nice.
yeah. And named for an actual person from the script that was originally being done. They named the character after a person, and then the studio wanted it changed to Banzai, and it really stuck. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, can you think of an actor that was the first choice for Buckaroo Banzai, but didn't do it?
I don't know. Let me think.
They didn't think he was a big screen talent. He was a TV talent. He could only do TV.
Only do TV.
He did a little show called Bosom Buddies.
Oh, okay. All right. So Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's crazy. They thought he couldn't. They thought he couldn't be a movie guy.
And he hadn't been a movie guy until the very late 80s, and then it was comedy. I mean, he actually did, I guess Bachelor Party was mid-80s, but he was known for more of his comedy roles. And I don't know, but that is weird, because that would have been a great... Can you answer that on his resume, Buckaroo Banzai?
It may have been different. He may have had a different career.
He may have, yeah.
They said Michael Keaton, too, but he didn't want to sign a 3-picture deal. So do you know why there weren't more pictures, or are there?
Because it lost money.
Yeah.
When you only make, when it costs you $17 million to create it, and you only make half your money back.
Yeah.
Typically, the studios don't go out of their way to have you do sequels. So.
That's how the business works.
They were hoping, as we saw with the trailer behind, but that was the reason why.
Okay. Did you know that John Lithgow, looking for inspiration for his characters, found an Italian actor with a voice and had him record sayings, and he ended up getting a credit as the dialect coach for John Lithgow in the movie.
Did not know that. Yeah. That's awesome. Because it is a unique accent that Lithgow throws in there. I mean, that was that was just bizarre. You're like, okay, but
at times hard to understand too.
At times very hard to understand. That's correct.
Did you know there was something about Buckaroo's glasses? The studio did not like him wearing red glasses, so they called the director. They had a big meeting over it. One person wanted one color.
Oh my God.
And I guess they got red. I guess the filmmaker got what he wanted.
There you go. I did not know that was a big deal. I mean, I knew the glasses were unique, but speaking of red glasses, totally off the subject, have you seen the trailer for Gunslingers?
I don't think so.
It's a new kind of more intense Western, and it's on GeekyKOOL. We've got that trailer listed up there. But one of the stars in it is Nicolas Cage, and he has these red glasses that have They're basically crosses. So you got a middle piece on both sides, and there's nothing on the outer side. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's basically it's a town of criminals that are all wanted by the law, and somebody comes to town trying to get one of the criminals, and they're going to bring in a whole group of bounty hunters to try to get them all. And then, of course, you got your big gunfights and stuff like that. But it looks interesting. Anyway,
I love westerns.
It's also a very bizarre looking western. Check it out. I'll send you a link. Check it out. But the red glasses made me think of that. So
cool. I'm looking forward to it. Let me see here. What did they said? They said many of the cast and crew did not understand the script a whole lot, but they felt like it was an Indiana Jones type adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So all these actors went on to do successful things.
Yes, they did.
Was Peter Weller probably the only one who didn't? Did he do anything after this? I know he did RoboCop, but did he immediately
do RoboCop? That was really his big name. Claim to fame was the RoboCop movies. He was in Leviathan, in Screamers. Those are really the big ones that he was a part of. Looks like he was in Star Trek Into the Darkness. I don't remember him in that, but he did go on. I mean, RoboCop is what he's best known for.
Yeah. And I saw a picture of him. I think he looks like sick. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
Is he?
I don't know if he's sick or not. I've not read that. He's 77, so he's not young, but he's not that old. I mean, he should be around for a while, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not. Did you see Tarantino's review of that or his?
I haven't. I saw that he had one, but I hadn't read it. So
yeah.
What did Tarantino say?
He basically said the same thing. He said it was so weird that he thought it was cool. Yeah.
There have been rumors of a possible reboot sequel sort of thing, taking the characters from where they're at and doing something else with them. Tarantino would take that down a whole different line if he sticks to his typical style. So I can't say I'd want Tarantino to do it, but there's some directors that I wouldn't mind seeing try a shot at it and see kind of what you can do with these characters. I think that'd be interesting.
Do you know anything about the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. What were you going to say?
Do you know anything about the director? Did he do anything after this, or?
No, he did.
I guess I can look that up. Huh?
Let me check that out. Let me tell you this, because you were giving me little known facts. Okay. Did you know that Jamie Lee Curtis was playing Buckaroo Banzai's mom, and it was in a flashback clip? It was cut out of the movie for the theaters, but if you get the extended edition, it's in there. And in the regular movie, you can see her picture on the car.
Wow!
It's on his dashboard when he goes to go through the mountain. When he's driving the rocket car. I think when he gets in, he sees her picture right there and does something. But it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Wow!
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did they cut that scene?
They did cut the scene. They did cut the scene. Yeah. Director is W.D. Richard, and let's see.
Doesn't sound familiar, but
known for Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978.
Okay.
He did a Dracula movie in 79. Brubaker. I can't remember Brubaker.
A show, TV show.
Brubaker. No, it was a movie.
Okay.
So he did some things, all kind of in the 70s to early 90s, it looks like. Needful Things. He was the director of Needful Things.
Okay.
So basically, his big claim to fame was Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The remake. It was a really well done remake, but a remake of that. And of course, Buckaroo. So
man, yeah. I wonder if I wonder if he wrote it or if someone else
No, he
did.
didn't write it.
I'm looking.
It was nominated, by the way, for an Academy Award for original screenplay.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
No, it wasn't.
It was. Yeah.
I want proof of that.
Am I looking at that right? Hold on. Oh no. Well, no. Hold on. Maybe he was nominated. He was nominated. The director was nominated. I apologize. I said the wrong
wow.
word.
Still,
So, yeah.
Wow. Man, crazy. Good for him.
Yep. So let me see here. What were we talking about before that? We were talking about the director, and then there's something else.
Who wrote it?
Oh, who wrote it? That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The same guy that wrote Big Trouble in Little China.
See there, which kind of has that same feel, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it does have that feel of that whole 80s kind of weird, because Big Trouble in Little China is a great movie also. Also, I have it on my Voodoo account. But it is bizarre, right?
Yeah.
There are bizarre parts in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that.
The fashion was definitely 80s.
Most definitely. Actually, I would still wear what Buckaroo does if I could get away with it. My body type would let me. The pink tie down to here and the scarf, I'd so wear that.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely brought me back to the 80s. That's for sure.
It does that, right? Yeah, that movie is known for bringing you back.
Yeah.
So, we're down to like 3 minutes or so, Joe. Tell me, what kind of grade do you give our movie here?
I will give it. I'll give it a B-.
Okay, well there you go. For a movie that's weird and your first time watching it, that's pretty good. I'm with you. I love this movie. It's definitely not A material, but I give it a B. Yeah, because and partially just because it's so weird and I love it so much, and it takes me right back to being 14.
Yeah,
trying to figure out what is going on in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely will remember it. That's for sure. But I think actually, go ahead.
I was we did a review of this movie way back in the day. Oh.
No, I think some of the production quality, I mean, it took probably a lot of different locations and sets too to do some of that set. So it was pretty good for that.
It definitely was. Special effects don't hold up to today, but there's nothing that's sci-fi from the 80s that holds up other than Star Wars, right? Star Wars really the only thing that truly holds up. But it's fun. It's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you've not seen Buckaroo Banzai, check that out, because I think you will have a good time. At least you'll know that it's weird, and we're right there with you. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So check that out. Any last words on it, Joe?
I would say I'm ready to see the sequel. I want Buckaroo Banzai too.
I am ready to see the sequel also. Man, that would be awesome if we could get a sequel. So we're pushing for a sequel. Apparently, there's some sort of talk of a sequel out there, and then there was some controversy at some point with that. So I'm not sure why there was controversy. Buckaroo Banzai, though, did live beyond the movie in the fact that it's been adapted for comic books, several different attempts at that, telling different stories of this character. So he didn't start off as a comic book character, but he ended up as one for basically some of your independent comic book companies have used Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All right. Well, Joe, we will talk to you next week. We're going to have another movie for you guys next week. It'll be Joe's turn to pick.
I think I get to choose. Yeah.
You do. Yeah. You're going to choose something good for us here. So we will announce that when we have confirmation, and we'll see you guys back here next week. Until
Thanks, Larry.
Stay geeky and watch some movies.